Hi, my name is Julie Malizia, and I'm going to be walking you guys through a floral watercolor collage. These are some of my absolute favorite projects to make, so I really hope you enjoy it too. All right, everyone, so these are all the supplies you guys are going to need to make the floral collage. You're gonna want one of your bigger watercolor brushes that you have. I'm gonna be using a size round 10. If you have an 8 or a 12, that's fine. You can even use a flat brush if you have that, but I just prefer the round brushes for this sort of thing. You're gonna need a glue stick. This is a planner glue stick, but I mean, you can just use like an old Elmer's one or any type of glue that you have on hand. I want you to pick either a gold or a white gel pen. I'm probably gonna use the white one. I haven't decided. If you have both, that's great. Otherwise, you can use some opaque white paint or a paint pen, acrylic of either color, whatever works for you. It's just to add a little bit of details at the end. You're gonna need some scissors, paper towel or a towel, and the colors we're gonna be using, you're gonna pick a burnt sienna color, which is a little bit more of the orange, yellow ochre, which is this yellow here, indigo or dark blue, and then this permanent sap green, which is a little bit lighter of a green. If you don't have these exact colors, that's fine. We're just trying to stick in that general palette. So whatever you have that's similar is gonna be just perfect. As far as your paper goes, we're gonna be building the collage on top of a black piece of paper. This is black watercolor paper, but if you have cardstock or some sort of mixed media paper, that would be perfect. This is an 8x10. And then this is just a bigger piece of watercolor paper. I believe it's a 9x12 inch. It doesn't need to be your best paper because we are just gonna cover it, and any texture that comes up or streakiness is perfect. That's what we want. So the first thing we're gonna do, because this takes the longest to dry, is paint our watercolor wash on here. So we're gonna be using all of our colors, lots of water, and we're just gonna kind of work our way this way. Nothing too specific here. You just want a lot of interesting bleeds and blending, and try not to think too much into it. We don't want to make it muddy, if that makes sense. You don't want to actively be mixing, you know, blue and orange together. Okay. And go ahead and add some drops to all the colors you're going to be using just to help activate it a little bit. I should have done that first, but you know how it goes. This is the yellow ochre. And you just keep using a lot of water. You want it to move around on the page a lot. It's gonna look like absolute nonsense, and that's fine. We're gonna be cutting this into a million pieces. So don't try to overthink this step. And if you do get a piece that you think is maybe getting away from you a little bit, use your paper towel or your towel, and you can just give it a few little dabs so that it doesn't go too crazy. And one thing I do like to do is take a little bit and kind of drop it in certain places. You don't want to go too long with the same color, because we really want as much, I guess, variety as possible. It's gonna just make the whole thing come to life, you know what I mean? All right, let's add a little green. And if you're a little bit of a perfectionist, this might be making you feel a little frustrated with me. That's fine. It's gonna be perfect. You're gonna love it afterwards. You're just gonna want to vary in saturations and intensity. So some spots might be really dark, some might barely be anything. And we're just gonna keep kind of going around like that. I like to add in a few little spots, especially since these are gonna be flowers. Those are gonna be good places to cut out, you know, the little center of the flower or whatever. I think we need a little bit more of the yellow and some of the burnt sienna. So as you're probably guessing, this is going to take a while to dry. If you're watching this live, I am going to suggest you do like what I'm going to do. Let it set for a minute, because that's what makes all these little interesting pieces. And then just grab a little hand dryer or a blow dryer and make sure it's ready for you. I don't typically use blow dryers when I'm doing watercolor work, because I think it kind of forces it to dry, and then I feel like you lose a lot of the really cool pieces like here and all these little bleed lines. But we're gonna cut this in 2 pieces. So it really doesn't matter that much. Okay. And if you want to take some clean water and kind of drop it into a spot that has already dried, that makes some fun little spots too. Do a little more green so we have enough for the leaves. All right, so that's it. It looks a little crazy, I know, but like I said, it's gonna be awesome. Let's see, it's getting a little wonky. So you can also, if you feel like it's pooling in some places, you can give it a little swirl. Grab your towel and you can kind of dab at the corners. This is gonna help your dry time as well. So we're gonna let that set for like a couple minutes before we hit it with the blow dryer. I'm gonna show you guys the shapes we are gonna cut out to build your flowers, just so you kind of have a heads up while I'm over here cutting. So for one flower, we're gonna do, I'm just gonna draw these for you. It's almost like a little wing on that side. We're gonna do one opposite. And then for behind it, I'm just gonna draw this happy little guy here. So it's gonna be one flower. Kind of looks like a moose. I promise it's gonna look like a flower. Another one we're gonna do is just almost like big leaves. And we're gonna do this 4 times. Okay, and we're gonna do 3 circles, varying sizes. All right, and then for the leaves, we are gonna do about 5 in a little teardrop shape. I don't need to draw all those. And then we're gonna do about 3 in just kind of the regular leaf shape. We're gonna cut out some stems and stuff. I don't think I have to draw sticks for you guys, if you get that. But I just wanna give you kind of a general idea what we're working with here. So I'll go ahead and move that to the side. Okay, so we are gonna hit this with this little air dryer. If you are at home and you would rather skip this part and pause it and go grab something to drink or whatever and come back to it when it's dry, that is totally fine. I'm just gonna use this little heat tool that I have in all of my craft stuff, but a blow dryer is gonna work just fine. If it starts warping, just go ahead and hit the back of it. But again, we're gonna be cutting this out and gluing it onto the paper. So, I mean, you can't really ruin this. All right, so I'm just gonna hit these little outside parts. All right, so that feels pretty dry to me. There are some spots on the outside, you can see here, that are a little drippy. I just won't use those. Not a big deal. I mean, we have this whole middle part. All right, so nice and dry, little crazy, that's all right. We're gonna cut them out. So let's go ahead and start with that first flower, your mousse flower. So you're just gonna look around and find some cool spots that maybe have these little bleeds into them, weird little lines. So I am going to start over here in this blue spot because I love it. Okay, and if you hit a wet spot, I mean, just, you know what, let's just trim it off. There, all right. And none of this needs to be absolutely perfect. I feel like that's really what makes these so fun. You can't mess it up. You know what I mean? You kind of just go with what feels right. Okay, so I like to get the general shape of it and then just go back in and clean it up a little. Okay, so we've got this little guy. And we're gonna go the opposite direction now. Okay, so I'm thinking maybe over here. And if you get, I'm right-handed, so sometimes I have trouble moving the other way. Just cut it out and then go from there. Okay, so these two are gonna go. This is a little bigger. Just trim it up a little bit. All right, now we need our little flower that's gonna go in the back. So I think I'm gonna use this little piece here. This little guy, we'll move him to the side. right, the next one is going to just be these little shapes here. I think we'll go maybe a little bit more on the orange and the yellow pieces. So let's cut 2 little C curves, like a big leaf. Right, so I got 1. If you get these little scraps, just cut them off and shove them over. Like this little part here. And this might be easier if you have smaller scissors. These are just the ones that I could find today. I feel like a toddler using grown-up scissors, but it's working. All right, I think one more right here. Okay. You know what? And I kind of like the blue in that, so I think we might take this little dude out and replace him with this one that has a little bit of the blue in it. You can always set these ones to the side. You might use it later. There we go. All right, so you have this little fella. All right, and then on here, we're gonna do some circles. About 3 of them. I'm gonna go for the yellows and blues again, maybe a little bit of orange. If you don't like freestyling your circles, if you are a little bit more of a perfectionist, go ahead and trace it first. But, you know, I just like to make myself nervous. I also tend to, when I'm doing these little circle ones, I like to find ones that have almost like a little center part so that it looks like a little flower. Take one from over here. There's 2 and 1 more. Let's see. Let's go right here. I'm going to try to save some of that little watermark there. These scissors. Okay. All right, so we got those 3 little guys. And now we're gonna do some leaves. Look at what you have left. I'm gonna save kind of this longer middle part that's a lot of green for some little stems and stuff. So we might, maybe let's do those first. So go ahead and grab your black paper. Oops, excuse me. We're gonna try to set this up so we know how long you want and where we're gonna put the leaves. So I want you guys, we're gonna fill it in and we'll glue it in a little bit. So we're gonna have your little moose ear flower over here in the upper left portion. And we'll have this cute little guy is gonna go right here. Okay. So their stems are gonna come right about here. So we're just gonna fill in where we think these other cute little flowers should go. I'm gonna move these up. Okay. So now that we know how long we need this to be, we'll go ahead and cut one out for that. I like them to be a little curved. I think it makes it a little bit more whimsical. So I'm just gonna cut straight through. Okay. And I'm gonna do that twice for the other big flower. All right. So let's have this one turn a little bit this way. So we will just cut that here and trim it right there. Go ahead and slide that under so we can get a look for it. And then using the other one, I'm gonna cut it right about there. And if you make your stems a little too fat, like I did, you can just trim it down. We want them to look whimsical, not crazy. All right, and we're gonna do the same thing for these little guys here, once we move them around a little bit. So we can actually use the rest of that one that we had, that we cut off here. So that can be that little guy, and then we need two more. These ones should be a little skinnier because these flowers are a little smaller. Oops. Okay. We'll put this one here. This one this way. If I'm making you guys nervous with these scissors, please know that I am making myself nervous too. Try not to impale myself on your video. So we've got a general idea where we're gonna set this up. We're gonna add some little grasses on the bottom so it doesn't look so empty. So let's cut out some leaves to try to fill in some of the space on these bigger ones. So I am gonna use this little portion that has a little bit of everything, but definitely has some green. So we're gonna do those little teardrop shaped leaves first. And we're gonna make them about this big. So this one's a little smaller, so we'll put it there. I had said 5 before, but looking at it now, I'm gonna say we'll do a smaller one and then maybe a bigger one right here to fill in this space. Because you want everything to kind of go together, but you don't want to really just cram it in there. You know, let everybody have their own space to breathe. Okay, I think we'll do this one here. We'll give this little guy some of the more leafy leaves, a little bit pointier, a little bit smaller. Like these shaped, I guess, like little footballs. I feel like that's cute. Maybe. And you can move these around. Your composition doesn't need to be, you know, identical to mine. If, depending on the size that you made it, I mean, you don't want everything, you know, crammed into the bottom. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. So let's glue this stuff on, and then we'll add some little grass to the bottom, and then we will embellish it. All right, so start with your stems, since those are technically in the back. We'll do this big guy first. Okay, so I'm just going to do this way. And this is the fun, messy part. One thing I do like to do after I glue these on if you have a big book or something that you can press on top of this for a little bit just to make sure everything dries and sticks down. Okay, so we're going to turn this little fella this way. I think we'll do this one, this little wing. This is why I like glue sticks, but I mean, if you're using like, I don't know, Elmer's glue, it's also probably fine. Okay, so let's do this little one, and if you get a little bit extra dangling off the bottom, that's totally fine. We'll just cut that off after. I'm going to set your leaves off to the side too. I'll do this little one next. And when you add them, don't make your two big flowers at the exact same level. Try to give them a little bit of interest, one higher facing away, one a little bit lower on the side. It just makes it more fun. If your hands are getting sticky, it can cause a little bit of trouble, but it's okay. Mess is fun. Oops, and you know what? I forgot to do my stem, and if you are following along and also forgot to do your stem, because I am supposed to be in charge here, just stick it under that top leaf that you just did. No problem. Let's do this next little circle one. And I think I raised this up higher than I had anticipated, which happens. So if that happens to you too, just add another little stem. I mean, there's no rush here, well, at least for me. This is why you should do your stems first. Do as I say, not as I do, that whole thing. Okay, and your last little one. You know, I had it over here, but I actually kind of like it here now. So, let's go ahead and add his little stick. Right. So I'll go back and add these leaves in, and we can cut out more as you know we get going on this. You just want to try to make sure you're giving enough space for everything. These obviously aren't, you know, real flowers, so it doesn't need to be botanically correct. What I want to do over here is I maybe want to add one more little teardrop shape one. So let's all right. Again, we're going to press these down a little bit. All right, so let's add some little grass and leaves to the bottom. Again, pick the piece that is a little bit more green, I guess. And I'm just going to cut little sprigs out over here. Is that the right word? Sprigs? You're going to want these to be curved as well, and then have like a little point at the top. And we'll have different sizes. So if you can see, we are just going to stick them on here, you know, kind of like that. So we'll have them go every direction. Over here. And with these ones, just kind of stick them on there. We'll glue them, you know, however we can. And then we'll just trim off the bottom when we're finished. Let's glue those on and see how it's looking. Start over here. And I like to stick them a little close to the stem of the flower, just so they don't look too out of place. A little sticky here. A couple more. One more. Right. And then you're just going to trim them off. So if you want to flip it over. Very sticky. Alright, so now you can grab your gel pen of your choice. I'm going to use white. We're just going to add some fun little embellishments to this. I like to add on these 3 smaller flowers. Little lines, almost like the face of a clock. also like to add some little dots in the center of this one. Some lines on the leaves. And some lines in the middle of this little guy over here. And then if you do have a gold and a white gel pen, I mean, you can do either color. I think I'm gonna use gold. You can just add some little embellishments, like stars or fireflies, or pollen if you are an allergy sufferer like myself. I think these just kind of add a fun little element to your paper. You can also, if you don't have the pen, you just have paint, you can almost do like a galaxy painting and just sprinkle it on there. Or you can do that first if you try this again. I just really enjoy the, you know, non-stress nature of these collages. You really can't mess it up. And sometimes you can even use an old painting that you hated and you shoved in a drawer. I mean, you know, chop it up, make something new. But I don't know. I really enjoy these and I hope you guys did too. Please tag me if you try it. I would love to see your work and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.